Well, hello everyone, and I do hope you are having a great day today, and I trust that you're believing for God to do great things in your life, in your family, where you work. Hey, why don't you just go ahead and believe that God's just going to bless everything that you do today? It's not far-fetched to do that. You know, He promised He would do that. Just go ahead and believe that and obey Him, and everything that He orders your steps to do today, I guarantee you at the end of the day, you will find yourself standing in the winner's circle, because that's how God operates for His people. Well, happy hump day to you, and welcome to Wednesday's edition of Take 5. This week we're dealing with the thought that I preached on Sunday. That message was entitled Peculiar People. Now I know that's kind of a strange title, but you know, God intends for us to kind of be a strange people, as it were. And we've learned from that text that peculiar and strange doesn't necessarily mean what you and I think it does. We've been pulling this text from 1 Peter chapter 2, verse number 9. It says, "But you are a chosen generation, a royal priesthood, a holy nation, a peculiar people, that you should show forth the praises of Him who has called you out of darkness into His marvelous light." Those four things there, we've been talking about those, trying to wrap our head around what God is telling us there. Chosen generation, royal priesthood, holy nation, peculiar people. When you consider the fact that He has chosen us to be a royal priesthood, that means that He has chosen us to connect people to God, because that's the work of a priest. And then when you consider that He has chosen us to be a holy nation, that means we are separated and consecrated to Him, not this world, not the devil, not ourselves, not our own ambitions, but to Him. He's called us and chosen us to be a holy people, and then a peculiar people as well. Now consider that God has chosen us to connect people to Him. God has chosen us to be separated to Him, and God has chosen us to be different. He has chosen us to be spiritually unusual in this world right now. When you consider the definition of peculiar, it means strange, it means different, it means unusual, it means distinguishable from others, belonging exclusively to someone and someone's special possession. That's what we are to God. We're peculiar to Him, and He intends for us to live peculiar to the world. A couple of more verses real quick from Peter not only tells us what God intends us to be, but it tells us also what God intends us to do as His peculiar people. Verse 11 says, "Dear friends, I warn you as temporary residents and foreigners, keep away from worldly desires that wage war against your souls." So we're not of this world, we're in this world. Our citizenship is in heaven. It's not here on the earth. And so He intends for us to stay away from the sins of this earth, because our time here is only temporary. Soon we're going to take our eternal abode in our heavenly home. That's where our citizenship is. And then verse 12, he says what we're to do while we're here: live an exemplary life among the natives, so that your actions will refute their prejudices, and then they'll be won over to God. So our purpose here is to live different, spiritually distinguishable from those who are outside of Christ. We're supposed to live different, and our lives, actions, and our testimonies, when it's we're able to do that, is supposed to have an effect on the people around us. Our text really points to the responsibility of the everyday believer to evangelize the world by exhibiting a godly lifestyle and testimony. Now, when you say the word evangelize, we begin to think of an evangelist, and basically that's what we are. We may not have that particular ministry office calling, but we are supposed to be evangelists. From the Ephesians chapter 4, the evangelist is a very necessary part of the fivefold ministry there. And our churches are evangelical churches, which means that we emphasize the teachings and the authority of the Scripture that stress the spreading of the gospel through any means necessary so that people can be saved. And as members of an evangelical church, we should have a passionate enthusiasm for winning souls because, that's what our church is all about. That was the Great Commission. So we have the responsibility to pursue the namesake and the lifestyle of our church, which is evangelical, and that means that we should be everyday evangelists. Now, friend, I know you're thinking that that's the pastor's work, that's the evangelist's work, or whatever the case, but all evangelism is not done by those guys, nor does it happen from behind a pulpit. Most evangelism today is going to happen at the workplace, at home, and at other places of social interaction. Wherever you interact with people, at the store, at the market, at the gas station, at a football game, at whatever social event, wherever you interact with people, that's where it's going to happen. 2 Timothy chapter 4, verse number 5, Paul told Timothy, do the work of an evangelist. Even though Timothy was a pastor, he was commanded to do the work of an evangelist because he was peculiar. He was different. And his life was supposed to cause people to see that difference. And his testimony then, when given, was supposed to make a change in the lives of these people and cause them to see that they can have hope in the midst of a world that absolutely has none. It's always been the command of Jesus to his people for us to go and tell people about the good news of Jesus Christ. That's always been the command. It's never been to stay. It's always been to go. When you read about the great banquet that Jesus talked about there in Luke chapter 14, when the master of ceremony had everything prepared and he sent for the invited guests and they didn't come, he told his servant, then go into the highways and hedges and bring in the poor and bring in the blind and the lame and the cripple. Go out and bring them in. It's always been his command. When you think of the woman at Jacob's well, when Jesus ministered to her and did such an awesome feat there in offering mercy to a woman that had such a jaded past, the first thing that she did was leave him and go into the city and tell everyone in Samaria so that they could come out to him and see this man that had changed her life so. When you think of Mark chapter 5, the man that had the legion of demons, when Jesus had delivered him, that man wanted to stay with Jesus. But Jesus said, no, you can't stay. You need to go and tell your friends what God has done for you. And he didn't just go tell his friends. He went into the area called Decapolis. That was a region of 10 cities and began to publish, the Bible said, the good news about what God had done in his life. Even after the great phenomena of Pentecost, the early believers didn't stay in the upper room. They scattered and carried that gospel, that good news everywhere they went. So we've got to take up that priestly role of connecting people to God through everyday evangelism. This is the reason we have been dispersed in this world as we have. This is the reason God has sent us to the various places. This is the reason we have been assigned to where we work, to where we go to school, or to where we associate with people. This is the reason we've been given that assignment, so that we can tell of the good news of Jesus Christ, because we are his peculiar people. Well, hey, my time's come and gone. I got to get out of here. I look forward to being with you tomorrow on Thursday's edition of Take 5. Until then, God bless you. Have a great day. Whatever you do, friend, carry that good news of the gospel. That's why God has you where you are right now.